freaking people that worked for the venue thought I was with the band, and the band thought I worked for the venue. So
Well,
I
you
started
look
picking up
like a guy that
instruments.
would be like working with the band. You
So,
do.
so I started picking up. I started picking up the instruments and carrying them and putting them on the bus. I started loading up equipment. And I look over there and I walked up and he had this beautiful Flying V Confederate flag guitar.
Wow.
I I helped his son put it in the case, and his son used to be his guitar player in the
Right.
band. And his son, as I saw where David's amp was, and still had the cord plugged in, so I took the cord from the amp and put it. No one was looking. I put it in my windbreaker, and I ended
Cool.
up stealing David Allan Coe's guitar cord to his amp. And I came out. I was back there loading up a bunch of equipment. I was talking to the band. I said, "Where's David?" And well, he's on the bus. I'm like, I'm not going on the bus because he's up there with his wife, and they're in the back. After the show, so I'm not gonna, mess with the guy. But I helped the band, pick up all their instruments and load up the stuff, and
That is cool.
walked
That is
away with
cool.
my
Yeah,
friend.
no,
To this day,
that's
still
awesome.
has that cord.
So
I
with
took
his
some
wife,
guts or some booze, and one or the other.
I didn't realize that David. So he one point he claimed he was Jewish, then another point he claimed he was Mormon, and he had 7 wives. So I say he's a complicated dude. I mean, he did his X-rated songs,
Yes.
and been accused of being a racist. Yet he had a drummer that was with him for decades.
It was black. I
yeah.
talked to him. I loaded up his drum set.
Yeah, what's his Carrie Brown.
And his wife was actually in the band with him too. His wife would sing and play the tambourine, and she had a great voice on her.
So he just Carrie Brown. Not only did he play for David Allan Coe, he played for B.B. King and Buddy Guy, the Allmans,
Wow.
and Junior Wells, Jimmy Page. I mean, so he just wasn't a one-trick pony. But he stuck with David. Yeah, I mean, David did that one. I forgot the name of that album, but it was a total X-rated.
He had 2 that was, I forget what one was called. I think Underground, and I forget, but Not Deemed for Airplay, I think, was one of them. I'm not sure.
No, and I think if he wouldn't have done that early in his career, what do you guys think? If he wouldn't have done that early in his career, I think he would have been not, because I think he was somewhat ostracized for a while for that, and he had to battle his way back. I mean, he had the right guys with him, right? Willie, Waylon, George Jones, Christofferson.
What I've been listening to, though, it wasn't a lot of those guys he didn't get along with because they talked about him behind his back. So I've been watching all kinds of videos and stuff. I guess he didn't really like Christofferson all that much, and he said he claimed Willie and Waylon sold out and went to bow down to the record companies and whatever they said. That was David's problem. He was the total outlaw. He didn't bow down to anybody. He did things his way, and he wasn't going to sell out. I mean, I think that's what ostracized him.
Well,
I mean, them 2 CDs didn't help, granted, but I mean, he just wouldn't play ball.
Well, that's interesting that he thinks Willie or Waylon sold out, because Waylon was one of those guys that he was one of the original outlaws, and the reason he was is because they called him that's because he fought back against the record companies, right?
That's right.
I mean,
a funny story about Waylon Jennings. A lot of people don't know this, but he was almost on that plane flight that Buddy Holly got killed, and he actually won the coin toss, or lost the coin toss, and had to go on the bus while those guys flew. So, I mean,
well, you know what Waylon said before they took off, right?
I hope the plane crashes.
Yeah,
he did. He did say that.
Absolutely, man.
So supposedly I think it was the Big Bopper was sick, wasn't feeling good, and he wanted to get there and do his laundry. Right? Isn't that the way the story goes?
And the heat was out on the bus, so they were complaining about that. It's going to be a long bus ride to wherever they were going with no heat in the bus, and they were able to charter a plane, and it was a bad.
They were going to Fargo, North Dakota, pretty sure that's where they were headed.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've been to Fargo a number of times. I worked for a company that was based in Fargo for Polaris, bought them. But yeah, I saw David Allan 3 times. Once he still stood up. Although they wheeled him out and propped him up, gave him some whiskey. But that was at a place called Ziggy Marley's in Winston-Salem back in 2000. And then saw him twice at the Iron Horse, where he was a staple at the Iron Horse Saloon in Ormond Beach during Bike Week. Mm-hmm. And but both those times he sat. And we got really close because I don't know, either one of you ever been to the Iron Horse?
No.
So you walk out back. It's a little dumpy, mildewy smelling bar inside, but you walk out back and it's this huge place, and they have a big walkway built up, probably 10, 12 feet in the air. And so all the bikes come in there and park and hang out down low. So we were up on the first level of the gangway, and I was looking right there at David Allan. First time we saw him, they had an unbelievable Johnny Cash tribute band called Cold Hard Cash out of Missoula, Montana. But so some of his bigger songs, Mona Lisa, which a lot of people don't know. Mona Lisa, you guys know. Mona Lisa Lost Her Smile. That actually was number 2 in the U.S. and it was his only number 1 hit, number 1 in Canada.
Well, so, he was accused of having all these songs, like you just mentioned, a lot of them, where he's swearing and lay with me and stuff. And somebody says, "Could you ever do anything nice?" And he put together that Mona Lisa Lost Her Smile. Now the lyrics are more mellow, and the melody of the song, and I think it surprised a lot of people when he recorded that, because it wasn't a typical David Allan Coe song, talking about being drunk and other good stuff. So,
well, so go ahead.
A lot of people don't realize this, but he was the first one to put out Tennessee whiskey.
Exactly. Yep.
Then
George Jones, and, those guys.
So here's 2 things about this. I did a video on I think it was the day David died, and so yes, he was the first one to do it. I believe it was 1981 or 83, and it only got as high as 77.
Then George Jones did it didn't he? George did it next.
George did it, and George didn't get it to number 1, I don't believe. I think he got it to top 10.
Wasn't it number 3? I thought
3 or 4, yeah, something like.
Okay.
Well, I can tell you here. I got the. Let's see.
Because I watched a video earlier today before, trying to catch up on some stuff. I thought they said 3.
Yeah, it could be. I don't. Yeah. Anyway, in 83 is he? Yeah, because George did it. David Allan 81, then George in 83. But you talked about Take This Job and Shove It was originally offered to George Jones, right? Was that the one we were talking about?
Right.
So Tennessee Whiskey was originally offered to George Strait, and he turned it down.
Oh, really?
So
that'd be kind of out of character for George Strait.
For King George,
King George, yeah. But it's amazing how fate. George turned down Take This Job and Shove It, and then they, of course, Paycheck needed a hit. He was going broke, and it's funny because he at one time was George Jones's bass player. So they just,
really?
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting.
I know David Allan Coe had a lot of hard feelings about Johnny Paycheck and that,
Yeah.
Because he made it a hit and got a lot of money out of it. And he didn't get, David Allan Coe didn't get the publishing on it. He lost his publishing to a lot of his music. And that guy should have made a lot more money, and he ended up having to go bankrupt, and he lost all his publishing.
Sound like David was mad at a lot of people, but in some cases, who he should have been mad at is himself.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You
That's
know,
why I didn't want to bother him with a dollar slot machine. I didn't want to get on that list.
so yeah, talk about all he did. We talked about like over 300 songs he wrote, but I mean, think about how long this takes. 42 studio albums, 4 live albums, which those are quite honestly easier for him to do because he's just out there playing.
Right.
But
Well,
then,
a lot of those, Lenny, though, a lot of people don't realize this. A lot of those live albums really aren't live. They patch in the crowd noise and
Right.
they go back and, they'll touch up. I mean, some people will just go in there and touch up the vocals and stuff. But a lot of those guys, like a lot of those 70s albums, like Kiss Alive, I mean, that really wasn't a live album. They just patched in the crowd and stuff. So
well, I like the crowd, though. Oh,
right.
Shaun, you just like burst my bubble.
I'm a huge Kiss fan, so I'm a Kiss freak. So
I did get a chance to see them one time in a stadium, and that was at the other end, and they had flames, and it was like, holy crap, it's hot. It was hot all the way at the other end at Joe Robbie's Stadium now.
Oh, down in Miami. Oh, that's awesome.
So I lived down there 15 years, but back then when he's doing these studio albums, I mean, even when I did commercials in the early 90s, I don't know if I did any late 80s, early 90s, somewhere in there. I mean, it was still, you got the reels going, and then the guys, the DJ he's trying to find it on the reel, then, cut it,
slice
tape it. I mean, so just the time and effort that goes into this, but so yeah, David Allan, born in Akron, Ohio. Akron, Ohio, died in Texas. I didn't even know he was as sick as he was, but
I'm surprised he lived as long as he did. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, look at he did a little more. I think he had diabetes and some other stuff. He was in some accidents. I'll tell you an accident story in a minute. But we were talking about Mona Lisa, but then The Ride.
Awesome song.
He wrote.
Yeah, love that song.
So that one made number 2. He did better in Canada in some cases than he did here. That went to number 2 in Canada, and it was only not only, but it was number 4 here in the States. And You Never Call Me by My Name, it didn't make it to number 1. It only went to number 8 apparently here in the States, number 4 in Canada. But and you guys, so one of you guys talk about who wrote that song.
Steve Goodman wrote that song, didn't he? Steve Goodman, and there was somebody else. I forget who.
He is a famous.
In the song, yeah, he talks about it.
Yeah, he talks about Steve Goodman.
Steve Goodman wrote this song, yeah.
Now, apparently, Steve Goodman, the way I heard a story, and then I researched. So Steve Goodman started writing a song, and then he had to go somewhere, and so John Prine finished it up, and then but he didn't want to take credit, so he gave Goodman the credit for writing the song. So
that's I mean, is there a better bar song than You Never Call Me by My Name?
No.
I mean, everybody in the bar, I mean, that's how I got turned on to his music, was being I was a bartender, and people would always play that song. That and Hank Williams Jr. Family Tradition. Them are probably the 2 best tributes.
Oh yeah.
Friends in Low Places by Garth. I mean, but them are like songs that the whole bar knows and everybody sings along.
Right.
Oh yeah. Those are 3 of the most awesome songs, Shaun. You are correct. I mean, it's like I was always on the stool side of the bar.
A lot of times on both sides of the bar.
Too many times on the stool side, but or maybe too long at one time on the stool side of the bar. But what else you guys got here before I wanted to get to, of course, I printed off 7 pages of stuff. We're not going to go into all that, but the top, I wanted to, before I get to the top 5, I wanted to kind of get your guys, if you got a top 5, maybe you haven't even thought about it, but maybe you have. But is there anything else that you wanted to talk about, David Allan, experience or story or things that of note that we missed here? I'm sure we missed a lot.
One song that sticks out for me is Jack Daniels, If You Please Knock Me to My Knees. You don't get that kind of music nowadays.
No.
It's much kinder and gentler. I mean, I like some of the new country stuff. I don't hate everything, but can you imagine someone, a new artist, Shabuzi, doing that song? Come on. The only one guy who was qualified for it would be Jack Daniels, or Jack Daniels, if please, would be David Allan Coe. And he nailed that song, man, So you just don't get that kind of music anymore. I guess
no, that is an awesome song.
I think the last kind of guy that kind of was like that was newer country was Toby Keith, that you could kind of, he kind of was in that vein with, kind of outlawish music kind of. But now, I mean, the newer country, a lot of it's like pop music now.
Very pop. You're very right.
Very poppy, because they want that, they want that appeal where they can, cross over and really, that's how they make their moolah,
Right. Exactly. The old artists, the David Allan Coe's, really Johnny Cash, and the guys like Merle Haggard and stuff like that.
The Hag.
You can never replace those guys. I don't care how good these new artists are.
Are we surprised that David Allan Coe outlived almost all of them? I think the only one that's still alive is Hank. Isn't Hank the last of the true outlaw? Oh, Willie.
Willie just turned 93 last week.
Yeah.
Willie and Hank.
I want to smoke weed with Willie. So I can stay awake, or alive.
Yeah, that's when he goes, that's the end of it.
Scott, you were so right, though. They just don't have the songwriters nowadays. Listen to some of those songs. I mean, they tell you such a great story. I mean, it's just not hook chorus. I mean, he was a storyteller. That's what I loved about his music. It told a story.
And he told it. And when you heard it, you believed it, because he could hear it in his voice. Today's artists, and you're right, that they're in it for the money and the image and things, but it's kind of disappointing for true country fans that grew up listening to, Hell Yes, I Cheated, and all those songs like that.
He didn't. I guess, like you said, David Allen didn't like Christopherson, but man, that guy could write a song too.
Yeah.
One of my favorites of his is Sunday Morning Coming Down.
Me and Bobby McGee.
Put on my cleanest dirty shirt.
But you saw in your mind, when you heard that song, you saw him doing that, and had another beer for breakfast, the second one, blah blah blah.
You're right. I had a beer for breakfast that was so good. I had another for dessert. Right.
Right.
Yeah. And we all have fumbled. We all have fumbled through the closet for our cleanest dirty shirt.
Absolutely.
Hey, I got one David Allen.
That's what's lacking for today's country music, in my opinion.
I got one David Allen story here from, I think it might have been the second time I saw him. It was in probably 2014, 15, somewhere in there at the Iron Horse. And he stopped to tell this story about Bobby. He said Kid Rock. He said Bobby Ritchie, Kid Rock. So David Allen was in a pretty bad accident, I guess.
With a semi.
Didn't have any insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And Kid Rock, now the way he tells the story, Kid Rock paid like $100 and some $1,000 worth of David Allen's medical bills.
Wow.
So, So, all right. Now that we actually are really on air, fucking dumbass I am. Top five. Do you have a top? Do either you or both of you have a top five as far as top five songs of David Allen that you like? Okay, these are the five that I want to listen to. I like a lot of the other ones, but here's five, and I'll even give you an honorable mention.
Okay.
Who wants to go first? Shaun, you want to go first?
I'll go. I'm going off the top of my head right now. These are the five that I love by David Allan Coe. Number 5 is Please Come to Boston. Love that song. Number 4, Long Hair Redneck. I love that song.
Yep.
Number 3, I would have to go If That Ain't Country.
Yeah, I'll kiss your ass.
Right.
Number 2, You Never Call Me by My Name. I know that'd be number 1. You said it a little earlier, The Ride. I love that song. That's my favorite David Allan Coe song.
I have to agree with that list. Probably number 5, though. I would start out with Mona Lisa Lost Her Smile. But the other song, everything he just mentioned is, you know, if it's not in that order, it's those 4 remaining songs. Absolutely. Absolutely.
My honorable mention, I like Hank Williams Jr. Jr. I love that song that he did with Christopherson was in that song. Yep. And so was Dickie Betts has a solo in it from the Allman Brothers.
Yep.
Wow. Honorable mention for me would probably be She Used to Love Me a Lot. I would say that would be a good one too. You know, I mean, what's not to like? You know, I mean, he was great, and like I say, he delivered music in a way, and you could see it in your head, and you know, once you saw or knew who he was, you could see everything about it. And today's artists ain't just not doing it for me, at least. I'm out of the demo now, supposedly, but you know, the 25 to 54 crowd, that age group, you know, that's supposed to be where all the money is. But I don't know. I got more money now than I ever had in my life, and I think a lot of guys my age, you know, just from saving and from investments and whatever, we're the real money holders. But they said, hey, guys at your age, you already have a house, you already have a car, you're not going to spend any money. Oh, I don't know about that. I like to go to Vegas. I like to do things. I like to go places. I need a new car. You know, I'm driving a 1985 Ford Crown Victoria now.
Wow.
So, I mean, I'm ready for another car. So I disagree with that.
Yeah, you are. You're not helping the car business out here, Scott.
Yeah. What about it out there? Huh?
Please come to Florida if you need a car. I can help you out.
Oh,
give you that help.
I forgot about that. Yeah. I'll have to come down there and get a deal.
I got connections.
Let's hear yours, Lonnie.
What's that?
Let's hear your list.
So I'm gonna because I'm the El Jefe here tonight. You know, not a great El Jefe, but since I'm in charge, I'm gonna give you my top 5, and I got a couple honorable mentions, but I don't have them in any. They're not in any particular order. I wrote them down in order, but I'm not gonna categorize them as a 1 through 5. So on my list, I got, obviously, You Don't Call Me Darling, or You Don't Have to Call Me by My Name.
Love it.
If That Ain't Country,
which he wrote for his father, Donald Mahan Coe, and he named his father or his son Tyler Mahan Coe. So he wrote that song about his father, because I just heard him the other day do a live show. I didn't know he'd written it specifically about his father, but he did. Long-Haired Redneck.
Great song.
The Ride. Then the next 3 are different than what you guys did.
All right.
Tennessee Whiskey. I love his version. I think I like it as good or better than Stapleton. I love George Jones' version because I love George Jones. Waylon, Willie and Me.
Great song.
And the last one, and it's like a sad, sad song, but one of my favorite. And I didn't hear it until just a few, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and that is Don't Cry, Darling. With and he does that with George Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And George is kind of narrating in there. And have you guys heard that one?
I'm not familiar with it.
I'm not familiar with it either.
I'm going to be. Like you're going to listen to it, and you're going to go.
I'm going to listen to it. Yeah.
It's one. I don't even know if he wrote it, but it's one of his greatest. I think it's one of his greatest songs. You know, the whiskey. You know, the whiskey was so bad he didn't even know his name, and it's you got to hear that song. It's an awesome song. Don't Cry, Darling, with David Allan and the little narration in there by George Jones.
If you guys are wanting out, like one of his last albums that he made, it's called Recommended for Airplay. And it's got a song on there called Finally Drank My Wife Away. That's a really good song.
Yeah, I think I have heard that one. He lost all his music.
All his publishing, and
he didn't pay his taxes.
Yeah.
And it was only about $25,000, I think, that he's owed, but then he got some of it back, and then he actually started re-recording on a different label, I think it said.
He made like $1 million off that second censored underground CD. I was listening to a video of this guy telling stories about David Allan Coe, and he said he started selling at bike rallies, and
right,
and ended up making $1 million, but he would get mad at the IRS instead of dealing with them and making deals with them. He would just tell them to go piss off, and then they'd really hammer him instead of he could have kept some of his publishing, because I know a couple times I saw him, he couldn't sing some of his songs because he lost the publishing rights.
Right.
So have we detected a theme here tonight about David Allan?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, he was mad. He was mad. He could have been mad the day, his mom got out of prison.
Yeah.
But, David Allan was, like I say, he's a complicated guy, and the more we talk, he was mad at everybody at some point, right? I mean, maybe some of there was a guy out of Cleveland who was an unbelievable band, unbelievable singer, but he was a hard guy to deal with. And
who is he?
Well, there's a band out of Cleveland that sold out Blossom Music Center like 10, 12 times.
Michael Stanley band?
Okay. I know you're talking
Michael
about.
Stanley, they say, was a hard guy to get a hold of, get along with. And I mean, there was a time he opened with Aerosmith.
Right.
And they didn't make it anywhere outside of the region.
They were regional. I mean,
and you had WMMS pumping them, and Kid Leo, and
Didn't he wound up being a disc jockey at NCX, didn't he?
He was the DJ at NCX for years.
Yeah.
Who was Michael Stanley?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
After yeah. Kid Leo's still around once in a while. I think he's on Little Stevie's Underground. But,
right. Little Stevie's Underground.
He pretty much made Springsteen.
Yeah.
Kid Leo.
Yeah.
Because nobody heard of him outside of Jersey. And he used to play him to death. But anyway, another story, another time. Any last thoughts, guys? Or we're ready to get out of here?
Well, I'm surprised that he was 86 when he passed away. I always thought he was, in his mid 70s. Didn't realize he was an older gentleman, and it's surprised he lived that long. I'll tell you, with all the stuff he did, So
there's a lot of hope for us.
There's a lot of hope for us, yeah. So that's pretty funny, but other than that, I mean, they come, they go. Same. We're gonna do a tribute someday to Willie. Even now, I see Dolly's canceled shows. That old line, the 60s and 70s, and even some of the 80s kind of artists are gone or are on the way out the door.
Well, did you see the video I posted that Dolly did? I posted it yesterday, I think. Dolly did about a 2-minute video or so about talking about the good and the bad about her health, and she was joking about her boobs, and
she always had a great sense of humor. But I will tell you something.
You're going to say something else.
Yeah, she is really a very nice person.
Yeah, she is. She does a lot,
and she doesn't. She don't mind helping people, and the things that she's done. So and what a businesswoman, huh? Dollywood, all that other stuff, all because all her money basically not all her money, but a great deal came from "I Will Always Love You," that song, and it's
Well, I mean,
her
she gives
biggest.
all those kids free books. I mean, she
does everything like that, man.
Yeah,
So.
she does a lot of stuff for kids. I mean, got a big heart. I mean, what a nice, like you said, what a nice lady. I mean, honestly.
Yeah. So she, you can't go wrong with her.
She did that song "I Will Always Love You," and Porter still wouldn't talk to her, right?
Right. Well, she can only go so far with Porter. She was a sidekick. It was never going to be Dolly Parton featuring Porter Wagner.
Right. She had to go on her own.
Yeah, she had to. Yeah, no doubt about it. But yeah, it's too bad. I mean, that song, and you know the story. Elvis wanted to record it, but she wouldn't give him the publishing out of it or anything. How many people have recorded that song? You know, and still is raking in tons of money. And it's a beautiful song, very simple. We call country music 3 chords and the truth, and that's the best description. 3 chords and the truth.
Have you ever watched the podcast Professor Rock? Professor Rock. That's what he says at the end of the show. 3 chords and truth. What you just said.
Yeah.
3 chords and the truth.
3 chords and
no,
the truth.
Shaun, by the time I'm done watching the OHIO podcast video, podcast, I'm like, I don't have much. Even retired, I don't have much more time.
Oh, it's just I like it because it's a different.
What's the name of it?
Professor Rock.
Professor Rock. Okay,
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, he does all kinds of interviews with guests. Has all kinds of great interviews. I mean,
cool.
Does a lot of good stuff. I mean, I enjoy his channel. I recommend.
By the way, speaking of interviews, we got to give you all the folks out there, let them know, Shaun, you get a lot of great people on your show, the Buckeye Zone, a lot of great people, a lot of great interviews. So for people that, and you're also on the OHIO podcast, but when you're doing the Buckeye Zone with Nate and EJ, you get some really good guests and good content.
Been very blessed and lucky. I used to do a show with TG called the Buckeye Lounge, and we that's what we did a lot, was just interviews, and we get former players to come on and just let them tell their story. Tell them how they became a Buckeye, and get to know the guy and kind of educate younger fans that might not know who these guys were. So we wanted to keep the history alive.
A lot of really good stories, and they all don't really relate to. They wrap around football, but what's one? Who is it? You had him on, and then you guys had him on the OHIO podcast. Joe Brown.
Joe Brown, what a great guy, man!
That was an awesome interview, Joe Brown.
I'll tell you what, we had RJ Day on, Ryan Day's son, and he told a story about Dwayne Haskins, which was really cool, about how Dwayne had a bye week, and Friday night, doesn't have a game the weekend, and he calls RJ up and he says, he goes, "You're coming with me tonight. Your parents said it's okay." And he took RJ out to go watch a high school football game, to go watch a couple kids that Ohio State was recruiting. And RJ goes, "Man," he goes, "they didn't have a game that week." He goes, "He could have been out, with all his friends, gone anywhere. He chose to spend the evening with me, and he took me to a football game and took me out for dinner."
That's awesome.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. You get to hear cool stories like that.
Dwayne is very unfortunate. He got a little sideways there, and
man,
I don't even know. Quite honestly, I don't even know if he knew where he was in the middle of 575 down there in Fort Lauderdale.
Man, that's just a shame.
It's a hell of a way to lose your life.
Yeah.
So, anyway, speaking of losing their lives, David Allan Coe lost his just last week, and at the age of, like Scotty said a couple times, the age of 86 in Texas, and that's what we were here for today. We apologize for a few of the technical difficulties early, but I hope you stuck it out or jumped in later and stayed with us. Shaun, thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys inviting me on. Yeah. Scott, it was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Shaun.
Billy Bob, I appreciate you, man. I love your show, and You know, you guys ever need me back for anything, I'll come back again and talk. Whether
I
it's
definitely
sports,
will.
you know, music,
Yep.
movies, I love
Yep.
it all.
Yep.
Cool.
And Scotty, thank you. Scott, thanks a lot. Thank Becky for prepping you.
She prepped me. Yeah, she corrected all my stories. So
I'm surprised she didn't pop her head in there.
I told her to come on in, but she's watching TV.
So I don't think you heard that, Shaun. Maybe you're still trying to get on, but Scott's wife, Becky, I went to high school with her. So
Okay.
that's how I know. That's kind of how I know Scott. So, so I don't. You guys haven't been on my show yet, but I end every show. I think you've all seen my videos. So we end every show the same way. America, land of the free, because of the brave. Stay focused, America. Billy Bob, peace out. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.